Hi everyone, Kim here. Welcome to Olive City Homestead in Northern California. In today's video, I'm going to talk about trying new things in the garden and in the orchard. And I'm going to give you a simple gardening idea for beginners, yes, but also for those of you who like to experiment in the garden. I hadn't even tried this idea until last year, and boy, it's been a great success for me. And I hope that in sharing it with you guys, some of you will find it helps you in the garden and orchard as well. Here's another example of how I use Tulle. It's all around these figs because I'm telling you, if I don't cover them, the birds will eat every single fig the second it is close to ripe. Let's see if I can find one on here that, here's one that wasn't covered, because I do leave some uncovered because, you know, I don't want to frustrate the birds so much that they start ripping at the Tulle, because they could technically find their way in. I don't tie huge knots around it. So I leave a few uncovered, and they got that one. Here's one that's not covered, and oh yeah, it's ready. So, you know, if it comes off that easily, it's ready. So you can see I have a ton. Okay, not a ton, but for one day. I come out here every single day and harvest figs. And here we've got a big one, and here we've got a big one. Here's another one. That's 3 right there. Oh, here's another one down here. That's 4. This is a brown turkey fig. And I have also a strawberry fig. Well, I call it a strawberry fig. It's actually a tiger panache, striped skin. This one wasn't covered. See, they just started pecking at it. They must have said, oh, it's not quite right. We'll come back today, later today. They either got that last night or this morning, but I got it now. Okay, that looks like a good job here. So that is another way that I use Tulle. I have some Tulle right now on my a few of my last peaches, big ones that weren't quite ripe, and I did not want to lose them, and they're about ready to get now, and oh boy, I'm going to enjoy those fresh. Usually with my peaches, I freeze them for cobbler later, or make cobbler now, or make peach syrup, lots of different recipes, but these are big, and because I've kept them completely safe from the birds, I'm going to eat them fresh. Oh, there's another one. So I've got like 7 or 8, oh, plus the 2 I've already picked, so I like 10 figs, and that is about how many I get every day. Yesterday, I think I took in like 16 though. So this fig tree, you see, it doesn't look like much in the sense of it doesn't have a ton of leaves, but fig trees don't need a ton of leaves to be super productive. I get hundreds of figs off this tree, and I get them twice a year. They actually produce it 2 different times. And sometimes this year it seems to be that they're producing kind of non-stop. They had a heavier production like 2 months ago, but they've continued to produce. I'm waiting for them to pause, but maybe they're not going to this year. Usually they have a secondary one. I'm going to take this off, and when it's that small, with a fig, by the way, you turn it in a counterclockwise motion. This is what I do, and it just sort of twists right off easily. And the sheep will eat that. You don't want to give sheep too much of any one thing, but they like a little treat now and then. Okay, on to other stuff. I can hear my neighbor across the street's going to town with a tractor. You know, that's one thing I really appreciate about the way I garden. I don't need a tractor or heavy-duty machinery of any kind because I don't dig in the ground. I garden in a permaculture way. And I don't till. I just, for my vegetable gardens in the back, I just build beds right on top. I use wood chips to mulch out weeds and things. And then I build up my soil with my own plant leavings, you know, actually literally the leaves from my vegetables and my fruit trees in the fall, and my deciduous other trees. And where were those other figs? I'm talking and harvesting at the same time. This is the part I left on. Oh, they're over here. Okay. So that means that I don't ever need to till. I'm building the soil and getting it nice and rich. There we go. And not disturbing any of the activity that's going on under the soil. Here we go. With the microbes. all that microbial activity, mycelium. Boy, I have mushrooms and fungi growing everywhere back there right now, and that's good. That shows me my soil's nice and healthy. And let's see if I'm missing any here. Sometimes it's hard to tell. Okay, I think I got today's harvest from there. Thought I'd check out my peaches. I'm using the very technical test to tell if they're ready. I'm gently squeezing to see if they're slightly soft. Those are technically ready. I could harvest them. But now that I discovered that the birds will leave my peaches alone. Oh, this one's perfect. If I tool them, I've become kind of greedy, I guess, and I want the perfect fruit. This is kind of hard to do one-handed, and I apologize, by the way, for my dirty hands and dirty fingernails. Oh, that just fell off. Oh my gosh, you guys. This is huge, and it is perfect. And the birds haven't gotten it. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna enjoy that for breakfast. Put that right there. Let's see if there's another one in that tool. Hope I'm not making anybody dizzy. Is this one as ripe? Oh yes. Yes it is. It's just a tiny little surface level scarring. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Guys, tool. You need to use it in your fruit trees. You do not need to tool. In fact, do not tool the whole tree because you need to leave some for the birds, which I did. There's not any on here now because peach season is technically over. You know, I harvested almost all the peaches from this dwarf peach tree in the end of July. And now here it is, the end of August, a month later. And these were actually some, I guess, late growing ones. And so, yeah, that one's still hard. It was a real late growing one. Do I want to take those top ones? I don't think I want to be that greedy. I think I'm going to leave them on for another day or two because, you know, how many peaches can I eat in one day? Probably more than 2, but I'm going to be nice. Hey, this is lucky. This happened on the weekend. I'm pretty much the only one here. Anyway, well, I was saying tool. Yes, you definitely should use tool with your fruit trees. This peach tree is my oldest. It's its 3rd year fruiting here. So technically it's, 4 years old because you buy them when they're a year old. But anyway, this is the first year I've gotten a ton off of it. I got a pretty good amount last year, but the first year I've gotten a ton off of it. If you have a young tree, like last year, you don't get a ton in the beginning. You get a very limited number of fruits, so you don't want the birds to get them all. They're each one is treasured. And so, yeah, wrap them definitely. But don't wrap everything in your orchard, and even on one tree, leave a couple unwrapped so that the birds find it and they're satisfied and they don't go attacking everything else and trying to rip the tool off. I've never had birds or squirrels, or opossums, any of the things that are around my property, get in through the tool. They don't like it. They feel like it's a trap. They just leave it alone. They don't even attempt to get through it. But I think if you wrapped everything, they would get desperate. So, but it's so worth it. It's cheap. I get 40 yards for about 10, 12 bucks. You can get it any color you want. I personally like this gold color. If you wrap it, as I have here several times, you can see it enough to find it easily. Take this off now that I took those 2 peaches out. I use generally clothespins. I don't use the plastic clothespins, first of all, because I don't like to buy plastic. We all know why about that. And anyway, plastic falls apart and makes a mess. But the wood will fall apart too. So, some people use masking tape. Some people use metal clips. I'm sticking with the wood, but it's cheap. It's easy to find. I get mine online, but you could get it at a fabric store. And also, it is reusable. So I will take that tool and I can wrap something else with it. I have some pears. Oh, let's go check the pears. Maybe some of those are ripe. Okay, this is a little pear tree, but it right now has about 15 pears on it. I've already harvested some from it. But again, I wrapped some of these. Oh, that's a nice one. Oh, and it's just got a little bit of give in it. Although you can technically in fact, most people harvest their pears before they're ripe and just set them aside and let them ripen in the house for a few days. Especially if you put them like in a little paper bag, just don't forget them. But if you can protect them from the birds, I'm gonna just take this one in now, you can leave them on the tree. Now see these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pears right there. They're not really wrapped. This side is open. I should do a better job with that. In fact, I could, now that I took those other ones off, drape it loosely, and it's working, you know, it is working. Of course, when I get a wind, sometimes if I haven't secured it enough, it will blow out there. They still could get in, but oh, here's some more. Look at these beautiful things. I don't know if you can see the color, but they are a beautiful yellow. Oh, I'm gonna probably come out and harvest these either this afternoon or tomorrow because they're ready. But this fruit tree, you can see it's not that big. This is only 2 years old. 2 years old. There we go. So I'm happy with it. Tulle. I don't have it on all my fig fruit trees. I just put it on them if I notice bird damage happening to the fruit, and I just put it on the fruit when it is, you know, getting close to being ripe, and that's because that's when the birds are going to go after them. So you don't have to like wrap all your fruit trees all year long or even all summer long. Just for, I've only had this Tulle on here for about 2 weeks, and that's been enough. Same with the figs. All right, I gotta get back to work. Gotta get back to work. But fortunately, I like my work. So I just peeled the Tulle back from my Moon and Stars watermelon to see if it was ready, but it's little, if I can get down here, it's little curlicue is not dry yet. It's still green, so I'm saying it's not done yet, but boy, it's about 15, 16 inches long. I wrapped it with Tulle when it was about 3 inches long, I think, 2 to 4 inches long, right in there when it was tiny, because at that point, oh, this is hard to do with one hand, sorry guys. At that point, here we go, if you can see, there was a little nibble out of it. Of course, when it was only 3 inches long, that nibble was a lot bigger. So I knew something was bothering it, so I wrapped it in Tulle. Now that it's gotten so much bigger, the Tulle does not cover it all, so I'm going to wrap a little more Tulle around it to protect it till it's done, because that's going to be delicious. There, that's better. It's all protected again. Okay, let's go over here, because I wanted to show you one more thing with Tulle on it back here. Actually, 2. So I had a whole video, which I'll put down in the description and at the end of this video, about this cucumber plant, Armenian cucumber. It's in a 1-gallon pot. I put it here when it was only like 2 inches high. It was doing really well, gave me a marvelous big cucumber I love so much, because this is the first summer I've had Armenian cucumber, and they're just so fabulous. And then about I don't know, like a week after that, all the leaves were gone except maybe 2. Something had attacked it. So I wrapped the whole thing in Tulle, and it has come back. Now I have unwrapped the top as it grew out of that. It has come back. The Tulle protected it wonderfully. It's almost now to the ceiling there. You see what it's done is it's grown through the chicken wire, and now it's in the chicken run, and it's going up to the ceiling in there. But it's covered in blossoms now and healthy new growth everywhere. And if you look at the video where I first wrapped the thing, it looked pretty bad at that time. Didn't it, girls? Yeah. And it wasn't them. I mean, they can only reach the very lowest part. It wasn't them. It was either, well, that's still debatable. You know, I just don't know. I had a problem with opossums, but I really don't think opossums climbed the fence. I don't know if mice do that or if it was birds. I have no idea. But anyway, it's now going strong in that 1-gallon pot because its roots, of course, go way deep in the ground. But Tulle does work. Yep. She agrees. She also wishes that cucumber plant was on the other side. Don't you, girl? Okay, my spaghetti squash here. It's wrapped in Tulle. It's about a foot long. I wrapped it when I saw a few little nibbles, and it's been untouched since then. Now I've got more spaghetti squash coming off this one plant. This was a late start plant. I didn't plant it until, oh, like mid-June, I think. There's a good size one. It's about 8 inches long. There's several little babies over there. That, by the way, that stuff is artichoke leaf mulch. I use as my artichokes, you know, produce and then die back. I use the leaves. Let's see. So there's another one. It's about 5 or 6 inches long. Got at least those 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's all coming out of, by the way, a 1-gallon pot. But again, the tool is doing fabulous to protect them. Now, I haven't put any on these because, like I do everywhere with my fruit trees too, I don't cover them unless I see something start to nibble. Once or twice something has actually, you know, got the whole thing in one night, but that doesn't usually happen. Usually they nibble a little bit first and I have a chance to cover it. And this is a watermelon, different kind. It's a round one. I don't even know what kind it is. My dad brought me this plant and I wrapped this watermelon. It's not ever been nibbled and it's almost ready to harvest. I can tell its curly Q is nearly dry. I wrapped it though because there was another melon on the same plant that when they were small, like 2 inches across, it got nibbled. So I wanted to protect this one and it's worked fabulous. I thought I'd show you this. This is a melon. Let's see. It was actually a volunteer melon and I transplanted it here, and when I did, something was eating it. So I just kind of layered this, you know, around it and nothing has bothered it since then, and it's been growing a lot of new leaves. So hopefully it's going to take off and give me a melon or two. That's just, you know, it looks sad, but that's because I just transplanted it yesterday. It's just, well, I didn't transplant it. I planted it yesterday. It's a cutting from a very large merit tree colored, and we'll see how it does. That one is too. Really left too many leaves on them, but I can always cut them off later. Since I mentioned my tiger panache fig, I thought I'd show you guys. Isn't it gorgeous? So my dad brought me this tree about 3 weeks ago, and it had about 6 or 8 figs on it. They're kind of small. They're about 2.5 inches across, but aren't they gorgeous? Well, one was ripe right away and I tried it, and sure enough, it was what I'd heard about, the kind that tastes like strawberries inside. And so I was so happy. Now, when this came, there were no leaves on this branch here with these 2 figs on it. But since then, look at that gorgeous new growth that's popped out. And the leaves that were on the tree have started to get crispy and kind of, you can hear that. And you can see the edges curling and crispy. However, it's also sent out lots of new, beautiful growth. Here's some more over here. These leaves are all new and beautiful. So it's taken well to the transplanting, and since then I've harvested all but 3 of the figs, and they've all been absolutely delicious. Now, you see this Bermuda grass? My whole lawn, or my whole backyard was Bermuda grass, except for the basketball court I had until last year. That's another story. But this little section, usually I keep it mowed down really well, and I have various trees. I have some kumquat over there. I have some pineapple guava, and I have a plueria and a plum, and yeah, they're all doing really well. Now I have a little fig. I'm going to put another one, I think, back here too, because I've been growing some brown turkeys from cuttings. But here is an experiment. My dad brought me this melon of some sort. I think it was supposed to be a cantaloupe, but I don't think it is a cantaloupe, and I'll show you why in a minute. But anyway, so I thought, well, I'll plant it in the ground. Years ago, my very first garden was in the backyard of a suburban house, and I planted everything in the grass in the ground, and it all did really well. However, and I thought this was working really well, except for I can't mow around it, and now I have all this Bermuda grass coming up here, which is super annoying. But I thought, okay, it's all right. I'll just let it, you know, do it for a couple months, and then I'll mow that down. I'll put up with it for now, just to see how this works. Well, my verdict is it doesn't work. I'm about to pull the plant out, because I had 2 melons growing, And interestingly enough, they kind of nestled themselves in the loose wood chips and the loose dirt here. And I thought, well, that's okay. And they were protected by the leaves. I thought they'd be all right. But today, I was like, let's just see how big this one is. And I started to pull it out. And as I pulled, it felt kind of light. And I'll show you why. So this is all I could see of the melon. And so I thought, let's see. It's a good 4 or 5 inches across. I pulled it up and I was like, what? I turned it over and something gopher probably under the ground, enjoying a little sneaky lunch. So that's not gonna work. So there you go, all experiments. I was gonna say they don't work, but actually it worked. It showed me that that particular place is not a good place to plant. So yeah, what I've decided now, that little experiment taught me, is this next growing season for melon, I'm going to go with what was one of my ideas. I'm going to put in my cattle panel arch trellis and grow my melons vertically. Let's see the gophers try to get to them then. So clearly Tulle is a lifesaver in both the garden and the orchard, and I can't recommend it highly enough. As I said in the video, it is so inexpensive and it's reusable. I mean, it's easy and it's so good. It really works. So I urge you, give it a try. So if you'd like to see more videos like this one with easy gardening ideas and useful tips for a simple homestead life, then make sure you click the subscribe button and the notification bell so you'll know whenever I upload new content. And remember, you really can garden and live your way and create the life you want.